So kicking off trigonometry, it's all about kind of right angle triangles. So say we've got a right angle triangle, right? This side that is always opposite the right angle, that is your hypotenuse. You should know that one just from learning about triangles and Pythagoras' theorem. Okay, now trigonometry kind of involves lengths and angles and stuff like that. So say you're given this angle here, okay? These sides then have different names. So this side here is the one that is opposite this angle. And if it's opposite this angle here, that is its name. You refer to that one as the opposite. And this one is next to the angle. And that also has another name, which is the adjacent. So adjacent, all that means is just next to. Now, if the angle suddenly becomes this one, and not this one down here, then these swap around. Okay, so this side is no longer opposite the angle. This one is next to. So this one becomes the adjacent, and this one is no longer next to the angle. This one is opposite. So those two swap around, depending on where the angle is. However, this one always remains the hypotenuse, as it is the opposite. Now, when you're relating to these three lengths and the angles kind of within, there are three different ratios that you need to remember. Okay, so the first ratio is the sine ratio. Okay, now the sine ratio, so sine of the angle, and that's what that symbol means. So sine of the angle is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Okay, and I can go through an example and it'll probably all make a bit more sense. Okay, but sine, the button that you press on the calculator, of the angle is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So that relates to these two sides depending on where the angle is. Okay, don't need that one there for now. Okay, the next one is the cos ratio. Okay, so you'd use cos when the ratio involves the adjacent and the hypotenuse. Okay, now there's one last ratio, and that is the tan ratio, and that is with the other two sides. That's with these two sides, and that is the opposite over the adjacent. Okay, now don't worry too much kind of about all these little words and trying to remember all of these. I do suggest you write them down. There's an acronym that is always taught to try and help you remember these, and that is the word SOHCAHTOA. Okay, SOHCAHTOA. So this one relates to sine, opposite over the hypotenuse, cos, adjacent over hypotenuse, and then tan, the opposite over adjacent. And you've probably seen triangles like this before. Those kind of relate to triangles, and that is kind of a method that you can use to try and work something like that out. Okay, so I'll do another video which kind of shows a few examples kind of using these, but that's the basics of kind of trigonometry. You need these three kind of ratios, and this is just another way that you can do it to work it out. You can either remember these or remember these, but this is how a triangle would be kind of labelled. If, say, the angle was there, that would be the adjacent, that would be the opposite, and obviously they switch around if the angle was there. So I'll do another video and I'll show you the kind of steps that I would use to kind of work it out, but this is the first one.